the wrong screen too, damn it. Welcome to Eviliv3, the live media commentary show that answers the question, can Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles actually defeat a human samurai? These are turtles. They're mutants, but they're turtles. All right, well, subscribe if you're new to the channel because today we're reviewing Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, The Last Ronin. How you doing, man? How you doing?
Oh, living the dream. How are you today?
Not living the dream, but I'm doing well.
Well, see, nightmares are dreams too. Everybody discounts those, but they're still technically dreams.
It's true. So you introduced me to this. So what were your initial thoughts when you first read it? Or
Holy fucking shit, was this amazing. Okay, so it's been decades since I've read a Ninja Turtles comic. For the most part, my experience with them is, of course, like the 80s movies, the cartoons, shit like that. Oh, damn, I am way off.
You're good. You're good.
I was like, oh my God, am I moving?
The world is moving.
But yeah, so my introduction was that. So that's mostly what I knew. I mean, I'd read a few comics here and there. I forgot how fucking brutal it is. So first couple of pages, it's like, damn. All right, this is what we're in for.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I never read a Ninja Turtle comic. I grew up with the films, the live-action films, the original ones, and then, of course, the cartoon series, which was amazing. It exploded on the popular culture scene, much like The Simpsons. Like, it was parallel to The Simpsons when it first came out, if people can remember back in the day. And it was a cultural phenomenon. I remember watching the first one and just being... I mean, first of all, I don't know why, but in the 80s, karate, ninjutsu, aikido with Steven Seagal, like martial arts was the thing. Like everyone was obsessed with martial arts. And the second for some reason, you threw Ninja Turtles in the play, it opened up worlds of experience. My friends and I used to play we played Dungeons and Dragons as little kids, and we would like hang out at each other's houses all night playing Dungeons and Dragons. And as soon as Ninja Turtles came on the scene, we made our own role-playing game called Cross Genetics, which was all based around the idea of mixing animals with martial arts and humans. It was super nerdy and weird and awesome. Like, it was the greatest thing ever.
That sounds pretty dope.
We played Cross Genetics for fucking forever, and we wanted to like make our own role-playing game of it because we loved Ninja Turtles so much. It was that connected. And then Turtles 2 came out, and it just sort of coincided with Vanilla Ice.
Dude, Secret of the Ooze. That is one of those sequels that it's like, how do you make it better than the first?
Yeah.
Vanilla Ice.
I was going to say Bebop and Rocksteady, but okay.
Oh, I mean, that was next. It goes Vanilla Ice because you got the fucking ninja rap, which this is like almost 40 fucking years old, and we all still know that shit by heart. Then Bebop, Rocksteady, then you got the Ooze, and then the story and all that shit.
It was great. I mean, there were so many great scenes. So anyway, I've always had an affinity, and my thing, and this was, again, I was in middle school, like early middle school. We're artists, so I would always draw the Ninja Turtles all the time and all my school books and all my paper and stuff because it was just the thing I was into. What just sort of blew me away was I had forgotten all about that side of me, and then I started reading this, and immediately I just started drawing Ninja Turtles again, instantly.
Yeah, man. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in the same boat. When I was reading it, it was like, fuck, could I pull off a Ninja Turtles flash sheet?
Yeah,
I think I could. And then of course, I got sidetracked because ADD or whatever. But yeah, man, I feel you. Like, this shit was a big fucking deal as a kid. I had all the goddamn toys, which of course kills me because NECA's re-releasing a lot of them.
Oh, really?
And they want an ungodly amount of money for them. It's like, fuck, I wish I still had those. Especially like the horror era ones. Like, do you remember those?
No.
I guess you're a little bit older, so you probably, like, this was a little bit more my generation versus like the baby boomers like you. But they had like, but yeah, so they had like horror mashups, and they were clearly different named. Like there was a Freddy one. I forget
Oh,
none of them were named what they were.
fucking cool.
But yeah, man, you got to look them up. They're dope as shit. There was a Freddy, there was a Jason, there was a Leatherface.
Oh,
I think there was a
man.
Mummy, a creature from Black, like all kinds
Hell
of shit. Dope
yeah.
as hell. Yeah, man. I love that shit. And that's the thing. Like, of course, I'm a huge fan. And I had a client that actually recommended this to me. And when I finally checked it out, it's like all the shit from my childhood came just flooding back. And it's like, God damn, I really was obsessed with this shit.
Yeah. That's odd. I want to shake that client's hand.
Yeah, man.
If he didn't tell you, you wouldn't have told me, and I would have been missing out on some.
Told you more like, take this book and fucking read it.
You're like, no, there's this great comic. The next time I saw you, you're just like, take it and read it. It's like, okay, fuck, I'll do it.
Now, quick question for you before we go on.
Yeah.
Have you thrown it across the room yet?
No.
Okay.
I've taken care of this one.
I'm gonna see you here in like another week.
So this is an inside joke. He lent me a Star Wars book, which I was super excited for. But when he gave it to me, I was a little bit under the influence, and I accidentally.
It was
more
excited.
like whoop 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 whoop. But yeah, my motor functions were not 100%. Is all I'm saying. It was unfortunate.
That's when you know it's a good night.
But I was taking care of this. This was a dope ass fucking comic series. And what we're reading, The Last Ronin, is actually a compilation of all 5 of the Last Ronin
6
comics. 6?
Yeah, isn't it
5?
6?
No.
Damn, I thought there were 6 for some reason. Whatever. Yeah.
Well, anyway, like it was the collection of the Last Ronin run, which was just goddamn brilliant. So a friend of mine, when I was a kid, had this graphic novel of Wolverine. And the only exposure I had to Wolverine was the cartoon of X-Men. Like, I never, at that time, read any of the comics or anything. And it was an adult graphic novel, and it was Wolverine, like, going fucking nuts, murdering and slicing and cutting. There was blood and nudity. It was amazing.
Hell yeah.
It just blew my mind. And so as soon as I picked this up, I was immediately flooded back to that too. I was like, wow, this is not the cartoon. This is not the movie. This is like raw Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle territory. And I'd never experienced it before. And so it was this weird mashup of Wolverine and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles that I never knew in my wildest dreams that I ever needed, but I'm so desperately now needing more of it because it was such great storytelling. And this, okay, we're going to get into it. I don't want to go crazy yet. My initial thoughts were, holy fuck.
Yeah. And that's a fair assessment.
I'm going to be reading. I have to put my glasses on. So this is published July 5th, 2022 by IDW Publishing. Again, the initial comic run was released before. This is a compilation of all of them. The original series was published from October 2020 to April 2022. It was written by Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz. Of course, they created the Ninja Turtles based on the story by Eastman and Peter Laird. And ultimately, you learn this from the afterword after the comic, is that the original creators were trying to figure out a way to sort of bring the Turtles into the current zeitgeist and do something different with them. I mean, the Turtles have traveled through time and space. They traveled into literal, physical, universal space and fought alien entities and shit. I mean, they've done everything.
Yep.
So how do you come back to the story and tell something not just original and interesting, but push the Turtles into a new sort of era? And that's really the sort of the founding principle of what this is. And part of me hates it because it means the end of an era. And I don't like that.
Yeah.
And the other part of me appreciates that the original creators wanted to do something different and sort of put a beautiful cap on what they had created thus far. And so you have to respect that. You know, they wanted to tell a sort of swan song, and sweet fucking hell did they.
Yes, they fucking did.
It was drawn by Sal and Isaac Escorza, Ben Bishop and Eastman, and the artwork in this. Like, the variant covers are dope as fuck, but the artwork is amazing.
Every single aspect of it. You get like the traditional... Well, okay, so it starts off with like the modern Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Like hyper detailed, beautiful,
So good.
stark colors,
So good.
just drab, dark, but still bright and vibrant. And then you get the flashback stories, and each flashback is different.
Yeah.
I especially loved when, well, okay, spoiler, everybody. If you're watching this, it's going to be a spoiler. Anyways,
Yeah.
Michelangelo's the last fucking Ronin. But when we get him going on his quest to, figure out what the fuck he's supposed to do in life after everybody's gone,
Yeah.
like how it just changes so goddamn much. It's so beautiful and it's so simplistic, but also just insanely detailed. It's, yeah, man, the art in this is just
Well, it's like chunky lines. I mean, very sort of cartoony, illustrative, but it's like desaturated 100%. So it's just black and white. And so you're getting, rather than this sort of like blast of emotional color, you're getting this deep, resonant, like experiential storytelling. Very much like flashbacks, and it's always sort of like changing the way that they present visually what they're experiencing because it's a flashback. This takes it to that sort of like nth degree, to not just telling it through a desaturated, maybe a sepia or something like that, but it's like a completely different artistic style. So you're in a sort of a flashback story. And I think that's the most important aspect of this entire series. It would have been easy to tell a sequential narrative, but they didn't do that. And I respect it more for that.
And the thing is, too, like with this, because their whole idea was, how do we end the legacy?
Yeah.
Because they're not ending it, but they wanted to know what it would look like. So that was part of the impetus of doing this story arc. So it's like, it would be a huge disservice for it to just be a linear thing, because that's fucking boring. I mean, that's every other comic, that's every other story out there. Yeah. So the fact that they did go back and forth through everything and make it almost like each book was a chapter on, one of the clan dying. Yeah. And then how Mikey basically rebounded from that and moved on from it. But it doesn't feel like it's that simple.
Yeah, no, not at all. I mean, we enter into the entire narrative at like the 3/4 point.
Yeah,
arguably
guns
halfway,
blazing.
but
He's fucking in.
Yeah, I mean, there's no, like, throughout the course of the story, we learn some of the backstory, a lot of the backstory that pertains to the Turtles and the sort of the situation. But because I never read the comics, I never understood. Like, is focused on the grandson of Shredder, not the actual Shredder. And so that sort of threw me for a loop too. And then the direction they took the character, I loved, and this sort of insanity, and you felt the generational impact, not just on the bad guys, which is important, but on the Turtles, which is arguably much more important, because we're dealing not with, again, this is much more of a Logan type storytelling. This is a tormented Last Ronin Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle. This is not the high cowabunga, high five, let's order some pizza and have a great time and play some arcade games. This shit has gone dark. And
that's the thing, is especially and that was a smart move on their end to have Mikey being the last Ronin, because you wouldn't expect that. Yeah. That's clearly, when I first heard about it, when I first got the rundown before my client, because I kept being like, dude, just fucking tell me. I need to know. I mean, I knew I was going to read it, so it didn't matter anyways, but I'm impatient. So I was like, I need to know who the fuck it is. I'm thinking Raphael or Leonardo, because that makes sense. Yep. Donatello to a lesser extent, but either Leonardo or Raphael, those were the two that I was like, it's got to be them. Yeah. And then, finding out that it's him, but then going into the comic, it's like, is he fucking with me, or is this really him? Because there's no humor. There's nothing.
And you're hearing all the other turtle voices. Mm-hmm. So you're trying to determine through the language which turtle is speaking, because it's not revealed initially who the Last Ronin is, which I really loved. Yeah,
that's who it should have been.
So even though you told me who it was, I wasn't 100%. Yeah, I was still sort of second guessing, wait, what is it really? Because that doesn't sound like Michelangelo, not the one I know. Oh, goddamn, this is so good. So it was important that they sort of, because the Turtle series is still going, that they specified that this is unconnected to the IDW series' continuity, and it's set in its own universe dubbed the Ronin-verse. Again, this is a very comic book tropey thing to do. You have multiple different universes, so you can have parallel storylines, and none of the two shall meet, but you can still tell interesting stories about the same types of characters in different universes, and it's all about the storytelling. That's all I can say. Is if you think comics, I think a lot of people think, you know, the DC or the Marvel sort of like episodic ridiculousness that just sort of restarts every couple of years.
Yeah.
Because they want to either take the characters in a new direction or they want to change a story that they found themselves in a corner with. This is different. This is, again, going back to the original creators, they wanted to tell a specific story and end an era that they started literally decades ago. And goddamn, it's so fucking good. So we open up sort of 3/4 of the way through with Michelangelo going to kill Oroku Hiroto. I don't know how to pronounce these goddamn
Yeah, no,
names.
that's it.
All right. So basically, he's the Foot Clan leader. I don't know why the world is the way it is. It doesn't even really explain why the world is. Which I don't mind. It's a dystopian future. And that's all you need to tell me. I'm a sci-fi nerd, so I appreciate it, and I'm there.
Yep. I mean, I just got straight up Blade Runner vibes from it.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool. I don't need shit. You gave me Blade Runner with Ninja Turtles. Fucking, I'm on board.
That's interesting. I didn't look at Blade Runner. I was thinking like something a little more. I don't even know what I was thinking, because I was like a little bit of like I don't know. I can't think of the damn movie I was going to quote, but I was thinking something much more low tech, but it's clearly Turtles, so it's like super high tech. So there's like a disparate connection, because most people, again, it's a dystopia, and so the common man is. It was almost like what, like Land of the Dead or something, like George Romero's Land of the Dead, where they were like isolated in this community in order to survive the hell that's on the outside. In this particular case, it's like, I don't know, radiation and toxicity, and it didn't really even explain it. Just like in this city, you had to survive, and the ruler of this city was the grandson of the Shredder, because the Turtles had fucking murdered Shredder and apparently murdered the son of the Shredder, which, okay. So we open with Michelangelo, like there's no other Turtles, and it doesn't even say it's Michelangelo. It's just a turtle going in, invading the tower. Of course, the bad guy has to live in a tower. Invading the tower, fighting his cyber guards and stuff. And all we're getting is inner monologue of the turtle going, oh, wow, this is interesting. I didn't expect these types of, bad guys. There's no Foot Clan. They're like all cyber robots and stuff. So that Stuckman's in here somewhere. Is it Stuckman?
Yes.
Stockman.
Yeah, Stockman.
Mispronounced. So
I love that
involved.
first decapitation scene where he realizes that they're fucking cyborgs. They're not just robots. And he's like, oh, fuck. I guess I gotta keep going.
And he's like, I've got this, no problem. Oh, shit, that was really close. Like, oh, shit, here they come. Oh, that hurt. I'm going to have to do something. I'm getting tired. Like, you're getting constant inner monologues, which in any comic I've ever read, you don't get. You get exterior monologues and the pow and the zap and the boom and shit like that. You don't get in their fucking head.
See, this is why I like indie comics, because it does seem like that's much more of a thing. That was really prevalent in early Spawn, at least the first 100, 200 issues or so, where there was a lot of exposition and internal monologue. You get pages of internal monologue before anything else happened. It's fantastic storytelling. That's what separates this kind of shit, as well as books, aside, apart from movies, because it's like you can't really do that in a movie and have it not feel hokey. But it just feels proper.
Yeah, 100%. When he faces off, he gets to the tower and he faces off against the bad guy, the main the dude, the new Shredder, like the emo Shredder. They go flying out of the top of the tower and they're falling. He lands and he's like, I'm dead. I can't survive this, but at least I've taken him out too. He doesn't, spoiler alert. And then he survives. And that's when we first realized.
Well, the crazy part is that was a fucking mouser.
Yeah.
Like, how the fuck like, so if anybody's privy to like the cartoons, because I don't think they were ever in the movies, but like Mousers, they're just cute little mouse
they weren't
droids.
in the movies. That's weird. They were in all the video games.
Yeah, all the video games, definitely the cartoon series. I think they were in the newer movies too, like the CG ones, but I don't honestly know. But yeah, so he's like sitting there getting his ass handed to him by a bunch of fucking Mousers, and then all of a sudden this just Goliath of a fucking Mouser takes him out. He's like, oh shit, I gotta hit its joint, so it drops. Then he's like, oh shit, I hit its joint. It's still fucking coming because of momentum. Yeah,
it's
love
so
that
good.
shit.
But that's the first time we realized, because even he in his inner monologue's like, I'm alive. Like, he didn't think he was going to survive. No ninja mutant can survive that, but somehow he did.
Yeah.
And that's when we're first introduced to the idea of this sort of underground resistance female. We don't know who it is at this time, and we don't need to sequentially go through the whole, comic or anything, but Michelangelo's changed. Like the turtle, the survivor has changed. And we end up learning that the mutant, the mutant, the ooze, is actually continually mutating the turtles. It's not just like it hit them when they were young till they were teenage years and then they stopped. No, it continued. And what I loved about this was that there was exposure mutations.
Right. That was that was the crazy twist. Yeah. It makes perfect fucking sense. But it's like, of course, like the turtles kept growing, kept getting stronger. They healed super fast. Because I mean, in this, like when that happens, Michelangelo breaks pretty much every bone in his body when he lands.
Splat.
It even says like, I feel like I broke every bone in my body. And there's just blood running out of his mouth. And then it's like a couple days later, he wakes up and he's fine-ish. Like just a couple bumps and bruises.
He's hurt.
So it's like that level of a mutagen, like it just makes sense that long-term exposure would create issues or create effects. And that's when we get in with, of course, the person that saved him, we find out it's April O'Neil, and she's weathered, she's haggard, she's missing limbs because of one of their battles. And it was a fucking battle too, which of course we get to see. And, her and Casey had a kid. Yeah. And she hung out with the turtles the whole time. So
Casey
guess what?
Marie.
She's fucking part mutant. And of course we find this out towards the end, but yeah, that was a huge fucking twist. I'm like, what the fuck?
I loved it. I love the fact that the mutagen, of course, affected April and Casey because they were hanging around with mutated fucking beings. And then they fucking had a kid, and of course the kid would then be mutated and a mutant herself. And so, first of all, I haven't. If I ever find anyone that says anything about Casey Marie being a girl boss or a fucking, what did they call Ray? Mary
Sue, yeah.
I will punch them in the fucking dick.
No, because
she's amazing.
Yeah.
Earned it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, and she gets her ass kicked.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that you don't see with a typical girl boss or Mary Sue. And no, she got her ass kicked. She went up against Mikey, and he just was like batting her away like she was a fucking fly.
Great. Even when she was like fighting the bad guys, she was getting her ass kicked. I mean, she's like a proper good female hero character.
Yeah.
Like
yeah, she also talked about how she's literally been training pretty much her entire fucking life. Yeah. So it's like it's well earned, it's a well lived in role. So it's easy to accept that she comes onto the scene or she comes into the picture and she's like, yeah, I'm part of the resistance. I'm one of the leaders, basically. And he's like, all right. Let's go fuck shit up, I guess.
The only reason why I mentioned it is because we live in a shitty time.
Yeah, no, I hate that shit, man. People are fucking idiots. Like,
I mean, sometimes I think it's true. But
no, it
not
is.
in this case.
That's the thing. If you're gonna bitch about something, don't bitch about it because you're a fucking old crusty curmudgeon. Like, bitch about it because it's bad fucking writing. Yeah. This is not bad writing. Yeah. So anybody has a problem with it, they're fucking idiots. Yeah. They probably don't read anyways.
So, I mean, ultimately, he's nursed back to health, and they have to determine, one, what the fuck happened to all the other turtles? Where the fuck has Mikey been for the last 18 years? And where the fuck are they going to go from here? And then we start getting the exposition of history and everything, and we get this one, the first turtle flashback is Raphael. And sweet hell.
Dude, that motherfucker went out like a goddamn G.
Like a goddamn hero. It
Like,
was so
yeah.
badass.
Dude, and it's funny too, because it's like, like obviously he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
So he's gonna die, but still that lead up to it. Like every time someone's taken out, you're just like, fuck, they might make it. They're gonna make it. And
well, and I think it's important before we talk about his death, it's presented as in they're still with Michelangelo. They haven't left. They're very much ever present in his life. They're talking shit to and about him. They are seemingly physically there with him in his most vulnerable states. And so as a reader, initially, you're just like, wait, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
And you realize they're brothers, of course.
Yeah. And especially because, like, I mean, they're in ethereal form. So, of course, they're not wearing their fucking masks.
Yeah.
So you don't know who is who. I mean, you later on, like, can pick them apart, like, who is who. But, like, initially, you're just like, well, who the fuck is it?
Yeah. It's so goddamn brilliant. And then we realize, of course, that the turtles, the brothers are gone. Like, they're not actually there with him. So then the question is, what the fuck happened to the other turtles, the other three? What the fuck happened to Splinter? And so you understand throughout the course of these issues that the other brothers died in these different ways, doing these different things. And Splinter died doing this different thing. And Michelangelo is left to avenge them for his own honor.
And Casey also went out too. Casey and Leonardo went out at the same time.
Yeah.
Which goddamn, that's great. That was a stark fucking, like that is burned into my memory. Just that picture of the fucking katana with the hockey mask on it and just rubble. And it's like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Well, so Casey Marie is introduced to Michelangelo when he's about to commit seppuku. Like fucking killing himself. Now, this is something that in Japanese culture, in samurai culture, is a real fucking thing. Yeah. And it is like your honor is literally your life. And he had went up against Hiroto and he failed. And so he had no honor and he had to kill himself. That's the headspace that Michelangelo was in. And that's where Casey Marie found him and stopped him from killing himself and then nursed him back to health. And you realize, holy fuck. Like, watching all of the Turtles stuff as a kid and reading and everything, first of all, as a kid, I never understood that at all. It wasn't even in my vernacular. I didn't understand it or even know about it. But once I did become aware of it, I was like, why would anyone fucking do that? Because the Western culture doesn't understand honor that way. We don't comprehend it. It's just not anywhere in our headspace. And for me to see Michelangelo, the guy who is very Western culture, wanting to do something a very Eastern way, it makes sense because he was taught that life. Like he was raised in that life. He was a part of a clan that originated in fucking Japan. So yeah, of course he would be like that. But in my Western brain, I'm like, fuck you, no. Like, no.
Yeah.
You're a turtle. You get back up. Get the fuck back up.
Well, and especially with it being his brother's busted katana. Like, it's not even like a fresh blade or anything. It's a mangy, just bust the fuck up katana. Like, it's like, I don't even know if that's going to cut. Yeah. That's going to really suck.
That would have been rough. That's why samurais had seconds. So they would cut their head off after they cut their belly open because you don't die quickly. You suffer. So you need someone to fucking end it quickly. No, Michelangelo would have suffered. He would have died of tetanus before a fucking stomach wound.
Well, see, I wonder because it's like he's got the hard shell. So it's like, is that actually going to cut through all the way? And if it does...
He's not a soft shell crab.
To what extent is his healing going to take place? Because like essentially, at least the way that it's set up in this, they almost have like a Weapon X style healing factor. Yeah. It's not quite as fast, but like he fell off the top of a fucking skyscraper and woke up 2 days later and was able to walk around and shit. So like that's the level of how fast it heals. So it's like, would he even die, or would he just be like, "Oh God, this fucking sucks"? So his guts, go back up in, and it starts to close.
Poke him back in,
and then he's just dealing with that pain, and like that the fuck that.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. It reminds me of Logan. I mean, it's just that old man Logan storytelling of he is well past his prime and he's just suffering
Oh yeah,
from
well, I
not
mean,
just
shit. At this
experience.
point, he's well over 100 years old,
Oh, is that how long it's been?
dude.
No, because April.
It says in there. Well, April wasn't there when they were kids.
Right.
And yeah, I agree, Chris. But yeah, that was stated, and it's like I think it was Casey was talking about. Well, I mean, you're like over 100 years old, so what? Blah blah blah.
Right.
So yeah, it's just crazy to think it's that fucking old.
Oh man, it's so great. Hey, Chris, you have to read this comic if you haven't yet. It's fucking amazing, like genuinely amazing.
Here's the thing: if you guys don't want to read it because you don't read because you're fucking losers, you're on YouTube. As soon as this shit's over, look at, I don't remember what the channel is off the top of my head. It was there and then I forgot. But anyways, you can find people narrating this.
Oh.
And 50 minutes, you're going to get the whole story. Well, the abridged story. It's worth it. But I mean, yeah, I'd just buy it. It's like $15.
It's totally worth it. I mean, the artwork is beautiful.
Yeah.
The storytelling is masterful. And it's the fucking Turtles in a way you haven't seen them before.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh, it's so goddamn good. So you get the impact of history. You get the impact of the loss of the brothers. And then we see Raphael. They're all coming back from a massive battle. Raphael, and this is where there's been multiple peace treaties with the Foot Clan. I think that they're just called the Foot Clan, right?
No, that's pretty much the people in New York. But
Haruko Saki, Shredder,
basically his last name. That's the clan name.
Saki clan.
I always forget the name of the clans because they're two different clans.
Mm-hmm.
Like Ninja Turtles, I don't remember.
They're the Hamato.
There we go. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm not sure of the. Anyway, there's been multiple like sort of peace treaties made,
mm-hmm.
and they always fucking fail because obviously the bad guys are bad guys and the Turtles are good guys, and there's Splinter is like an eternal optimist. Which
Mm-hmm.
kind of pisses me off, but then I kind of respect him for it because it's fucking Splinter, and that's just his character. That's what makes him great. But it also makes me angry because it's like, are you dumb? Like on one hand, my child mind, I'm just like, you're the best, and in my adult mind is like, you're a dumb motherfucker. Like you should learn.
Well, I mean, we do see him bite him in the ass, so he learned.
Yeah, I mean he whips some ass, so Splinter's dope. But like Raphael's like, no, I'm not gonna settle for this. Fuck them. I'm gonna fucking end this, and so he goes after what ends up being the grandson's mother, so his son's daughter, who is running the Foot Clan on behalf of her son, who will ultimately take control of it. Mm-hmm. And they just go toes, and she's a badass.
Rough. Yeah, not fucking around.
I mean, Raphael goes through his fair amount of foot soldiers first.
Oh yeah. No, he definitely he gets a little steam taken out of him, but
so great.
Yeah, like they go at it. They know this is it. Like no one's walking away, and it doesn't matter.
They go into the water, and they're both drowning, still fighting because they're badass. And there's just one shot of her with that sort of weird fist knife thing. Mm-hmm. There's like a Japanese name for it. I don't give a fuck. Stabs it up into his.
I think something.
Well, the sai is Raphael's weapon, but she like stabs his blade up into his chin. Yeah. And you're just like, he's not walking away from that. I don't give a fuck who you are. You could be Superman. You're not coming away from that. You're dead.
No.
Because it's a comic book. And so like it fucking hits him in the head, and I'm just like, like I had to stop reading the comic for a second, just stare at the panel. I was like, no.
Yeah.
Like Raphael?
Like he's gonna die because everybody dies.
Fucking mean ass Raphael? No, she didn't get that off, but it's earned. And so it's not like I was pissed. I was just sad. It's like, no. Raphael, who fucking, like, I'm just reflecting back on the first film of him going and beating up some bad guys and Casey Jones coming out, and then him and Casey Jones going toes. I'm just like, not Raphael. Like, fuck. Yeah. Like, he's the firecracker of the group. If he's gone, what the fuck is left? And he just literally dies and drowns. And she ostensibly drowns, but we find out later she was taken away by her son and put in like this weird comatose coma, sort of like hyper contained chamber or something. I don't know. She never wakes up or anything, but she's just out as like this fucking living dead girl, I guess.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which was a cool image, and the fact that that's part of the trauma that the son experiences in order to make him who he is. The thing that's so great about this comic is that we're not presented with bad guys simply because they're bad guys, or good guys being vigilantes simply because they're Batman. No, these are earned characters. Not earned as in like they did a good thing, but earned as in there's a reason why they act the way they do.
Oh, yeah.
And we're presented with the reasons, and it makes sense. It's tragic and it's sad, but yeah, I get it. Like, it makes perfect fucking logical sense. The bad guy of this, Oruku Hiroto, is a maniac.
Yeah,
because
like fucking insane.
He's trying to live up to a fucking sociopathic grandfather. And his mother is a sociopath that he fucking idolized and saved, but she's not coming out of a coma. And he keeps her around just to remind him how much he hates them for making him be the monster that he is, but he can't break the cycle.
Yeah.
Fuck! There's this great scene near the end of the comic where he's on the rooftop talking about how he's a god, and then he flashes to this like, oh, why did you leave me? Ah! Like, you can tell he is a tormented motherfucker.
Yeah, man, he's fucking broken beyond repair.
Oh, dude, it's so dope. God, this is great storytelling. The whole time I was reading this, I'm just like, where the fuck are they going to go next? This is insane. Like, I can see this as a film or as a maybe a 2-film arc, and it's great in my head.
Oh, yeah.
And I know they're like sort of like working this out to be a live action. I hope they do it justice because
yeah, it's got to be a hard R.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
100%.
it's just going to be fucking dumb.
Like a joke. It won't make any sense at all. If they do a comic version of this, I still wouldn't be okay. We have the comic already. Like, I don't need
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing. If you're fucking doing it, you're doing a different medium. Make it different.
Exactly. Yeah. And so after, let's see, the next was Leonardo and Casey.
Yeah.
And they were attacked by this. Well, they were working on this robot that Stockman. It was Honeycutt, but it was this Fugitoid robot that was sort of working with the turtles. And then Stockman tried to hack into him, and he wanted him for some reason, and he was gonna like blow him up or something. Ultimately, the robot is blown up by Stockman before it can get free, which kills. Yeah. Almost kills April, like it makes her lose some limbs, but it kills.
Yeah, that's how she lost Norman a leg.
And Leonardo. Who's your favorite turtle?
Oh, Michelangelo. Period.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Leonardo for me. To see him go out like that, I was a little bit butthurt.
No, understandable. It's him and Casey. It's like, how the fuck are you going to go out? And it's even more impressive if you think about the longevity of the characters because of the fact that like Casey Jones is just a fucking dude. Like there's nothing special about him except he doesn't give a fuck. So it's like just insane that the thing that took him out is what took out Leonardo. And it's like, but he was just a fucking guy. Like, yeah, it was definitely, it wasn't the best of the deaths. Yeah. I'll say that much.
I was a little bit, I think Raphael personally was the best.
Yeah, that was the best. Like even better than Michelangelo's.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Michelangelo's pretty good.
Yeah. So to answer the question, which of the weapons would you guys choose? I was born in the 70s. I was raised in the 80s. I have played with nunchucks, and I have hit my nunchucks in my nunchucks many times. My nads. So I would not choose the nunchucks.
Nope.
Size seems a little more of a finesse thing, so I couldn't really master that. Bow staff is a fucking stick. Fuck you, Donatello. So
right.
Of course it's katana.
Yeah, it goes without saying.
Yeah.
Like nunchucks just fucking look cool. And same with the size. And like, you know, if you're good on your feet and you're quick, they'd probably be a great weapon. But yeah, no, katana, you got your reach. It's lightweight. It's fast.
looks cool as
Yeah,
fuck.
exactly. Like you're a fucking boss if you pull one of those out.
Yeah.
And then to be like Leonardo and pull out 2, double
Oh
boss.
man. And he was like the contested leader because Raphael was always pushing back against him,
Mm-hmm.
and he was always trying to live up to the shadow of Splinter, and you can't.
No.
I just loved that character so much because he was so flawed, but he tried so hard to keep the brothers united and together and be a good leader. But he doesn't even know why he was put in that position, and no one else does really. But he always adopted it. He's a great character. Anyway,
Yeah.
a little bummed about his death, but he got blowed the fuck up,
Yeah.
and hence his katana being busted. And then we get. Michelangelo not really knowing what happened after the fallout of that because everyone sort of popped smoke and was gone.
Mm-hmm.
After a couple years, he goes searching in Japan to find out what the fuck happened because he believes that Donatello and Splinter went to Japan to the Hamato clan, and because there was this peace treaty that was supposed to be happening. He goes to Japan, meets the Hamato clan leaders, and they're like, "Oh yeah, they came here and we went to the meeting, and so they sort of retell the whole story, and that's where we realize that Splinter is still a badass, even though he's trying to be the good guy and the peaceful whatever. But ultimately, Donatello died from a bunch of archers in a fucking assassination attempt. They were just surprised.
Yep.
And then Splinter went down too. Not before he did a badass katana throwing job and fucked up Hiroto, but it unfortunately didn't kill that little punk ass bitch.
Yep.
Fucker. I hate
Yeah,
that.
he is. It's just like your typical fucking snot nose, like nepotism kid. Like, fuck you. You don't got real power.
I feel sorry for the actor that takes his role because I'm gonna hate that actor.
Yeah, 100%. That's definitely gonna be like
if he's good. Like,
if he's good, you'll hate him. If you don't hate him because of the role, you just hate him because he sucks.
Yeah.
That's different.
Yeah. I'm already primed to hate this dude and want to like punch him in the dick. Like I fucking I'm so pissed at this damn character because he just talks shit and he lives too long and he fucking ended Splinter for fuck's sake. And Donatello, I've never been a big fan, but
same.
He created cool little techno things, so well, all right, cool, whatever. I didn't mind him dying so much. I was bummed about Splinter dying. It's sort of like this weird, sad moment. And then we learn about, so that was Raphael, that was Leonardo, Casey, Donatello, Splinter. We realized that April's alive. She's sort of like cybernetics, and she's sort of taking the Donatello role of creating and fixing stuff. I don't know how a TV news reporter goes to like super techie savvy person, but I didn't mind it.
The thing is, it's believable because 1, she's living in their old lair. 2, years of exposure to all 4 of them, including Donatello.
Yeah.
So it's like everything, if you think about it, there is definitely an A to B to C type of thing. So it's acceptable. Like you just don't really question it. Plus, like after the bombing where she lost her husband, that's when she went real hard into being a part of the resistance and shit. Yeah. So it stands to reason. Yeah,
and it's a dystopian future, so it is very much like there is a resistance to the sort of like despot ruler that is the Foot Clan leader, and so you have to have those sort of like underground tech people, and I don't know. It took me a little bit to get over it, the fact that she even survived that blast when Leonardo didn't, and then to realize that she was pregnant and then the kid was born, which was weird. And then that she completely changed professions and like technological skill sets, which, all right, whatever. But I didn't, ultimately in the end, I'm talking more shit than it bothered me reading it. Cause I was just like, okay, I'm here.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. You just kind of accept everything.
It's a story. So, it's what the creators wanted to tell. And so I am here for it. I'm not complaining about it. After the fact, I may sort of reflect and judge and stuff, but I don't care. It's still a great fucking story, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I love the dynamic between Casey Marie and April O'Neil, her and her daughter. And if anyone out there is a parent, you understand that your kids are not copies of you. They are not versions of you. They are their own entities unto themselves. Environmental factors, especially in a fantasy comic book like this, are going to dramatically change them from who and what you are, but also exposure to mutagen is going to fundamentally change who they are.
Yeah, Chris, just like that Dana Carvey movie.
How dare you? Oh, no, that turtle? No! Get out of my house! How dare you?
I just love that you didn't know what he was talking about, and then it dawns on you, and it's even worse.
No, that makes me mad. I don't like that at all.
Oh, good old master of disguise.
Oh my gosh. I just seen that image of him with that little lip thing, and I just want to punch him in his stupid face. Dana Carver's great.
Mm-hmm.
That image is not. So fuck you.
Yeah, I was definitely not a fan of that movie.
I never watched the movie. I just saw stills, and I was angry from it. Anyway, so like, I love the dynamic that they fight and they argue. Like, there's love there because it's her kid and it's her mom. And yes, of course, you're going to love each other, but you just don't fundamentally agree on everything. And that's life. That's real.
That's reality.
I love that. It's so easy to make like, oh, you are my daughter, so you will follow in my footsteps and we will learn together and train together. And it could have easily been that sort of shitty thing where the mom takes on the karate role like the Turtles had and she teaches her daughter. But no, that's not how it is. The mom was completely separate from her daughter, and the daughter on her own trained on her own. It's so funny because it reminded me as a kid, because again, raised in the 80s, I was obsessed with sort of like the Jean-Claude Van Damme sort of stuff. I would go to the library and get karate books, and they had like little illustrations, and I would learn my own katas and shit, and I would try to mimic the movie moves and stuff, and it was so pathetic and sad, but it was that was my life. Awesome. That's what I did. And it was so ridiculous. I was imagining that. I was like, I am you, Casey Murray. I know exactly where you're coming from because I did that exact shit. It was so dumb. And then so when she does, of course, start to get trained by Michelangelo, she's nowhere near his level of shit. And so he sort of takes her on as master. But then they realize that the only way to really get into the tower and shut down all those cyborgs is to take care of Stockman, because Stockman is clearly powering everything. Mm-hmm. So they find out where Stockman is and they invade his lair, whip his ass, and Stockman was a dope-ass version of Stockman, like a cyborg Stockman. He was a cool-ass, like a RoboCop Stockman.
Yeah, definitely.
They end up beating him, shutting down the power. They go invade, or Michelangelo ends up taking some time, get some shit for it from his ghost brothers, and then ultimately goes and faces off against Hiroto. And ostensibly they kill each other, ultimately. And that's where it's
how it happens, man. That's the crazy shit, because Hiroto has essentially it's Shredder armor, but future Shredder armor, so it's actually like a liquid metal. So it's
like Terminator 2.
Yeah, pretty much. It's definitely the T-1000 armor, basically, where just Mikey's not doing a shit for damage. So he's like trying to figure out, because every time he gets him, it just compresses and springs back into life because it's liquid metal. Yeah, just watching that shit was intense.
There's this great poetic sequential moment of him hitting them with his brother's blades or his brother's weapons one at a time, doing more and more damage each time. Like, this is for Raphael, this is for Leonardo, this is for Donatello, and ultimately finally gets down to him, and he just does this sort of like coup de grace as they're like plummeting down. They like plummeted down to like a rooftop.
They fell into water, I think. But I mean, yeah, they did.
Like a docks or something that he was like a dock that he was like pulled out of by Casey Marie, and she was like, "Why did you do this without me?" And he was like, "Oh, you don't need to be." It was a Logan moment, and it was beautiful. It was
straight the fuck up a Logan moment,
and I was
especially when he hands off the journal.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
God damn, dude. Who knew 2 letters would make you cry? Like that, I don't know what fucked you up, but that's what fucked me up. It was that final moment when he hands the journal, and earlier we see the journal, and it says "No peace," and it's Splinter's handwriting. And this is right at essentially he wrote that right before he died.
Mhm.
And he had changed it because Casey Marie knew about it, and he wanted her to have it because that was all of Splinter's knowledge and the Turtles' knowledge. And he changed it so he puts K and W on it, and it's just like, that motherfucker did it.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah. No, I texted you about it, but I never in my life thought Turtles was something you cheered and pumped your fist for.
Yeah.
I was
absolutely.
like all for it. This was an incredibly a different perspective of seeing the Turtles for me as a grown man and understanding storytelling and appreciating infinitely more than I ever did as a kid. And for them to then drop that bomb and to literally end the Turtles that I grew up with, like literally grew up with, I fucking shed tears. And I was sitting here going, what the fuck? I can't get tears on my friend's book. Like, I had to move this out of the way.
It'll mingle with his tears.
Actively fucking crying over the goddamn Turtles. It was beautiful.
So great.
It was just beautiful. And I'll tell you what, if we can get that on screen, I will gladly cry in the theater for that shit because it's fucking beautiful. If you've ever been a fan of the Turtles, you have to read this series. It doesn't take a long time. It's so worth it.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so goddamn worth it. I mean, the artwork alone is great, but fuck, the story is so good.
Oh, yeah.
I was just genuinely blown away. When you told me about it initially, you're like, no, there's a story. I was just like, meh, okay, it's a comic. Or whatever.
Well, okay, so since we're going to be bringing it back around to the introduction then. So all of this came about because we were arguing over Splinter being able to beat Shredder.
Right.
Now that you've read this, has your opinion changed?
I mean, Splinter can definitely beat Shredder, 100%.
Okay. That's all I wanted to accomplish from this. Because you're like, oh, there's no way this little rat guy could take out Shredder. Bullshit.
Nope. I'm 180, 100%.
Yeah. No, definitely, Chris. You are not going to regret it, man. And the nice thing is, like, there is a postscript where Casey Marie and April are hanging out at the place.
Yeah.
And this is after everything's happened. Again, postscript. So that was redundant. Anyways, she's talking about continuing her training and stuff and talking about her project. And then the last panel is her with a bowl full of turtles. And it's like, God damn it, they're bringing the cycle back. Yeah. So ultimately, she's going to be the new Splinter, and those will be the new 4 turtles. So I'll be honest, I kind of hope they don't do anything with it. They just leave it at that. Like, we don't need any further. But I would definitely read it if they did do that.
There are more Ronin.
Yeah, so the next collection is the Lost Years. So my understanding is, I haven't read them yet. It's essentially the gaps of Michelangelo dealing with stuff after everybody died before he comes back.
Okay.
I believe. I could be wrong, but it's essentially that takes place in between. Yeah. The catalyst of the comic and the comic beginning. So
I've always liked the narrative of like the next generation. Like, you grow up with these heroes that you love. What's the next generation like? I've always liked that sort of storytelling idea. I got it with some fantasy narratives and stuff. So seeing it with Turtles, and again, like with Marvel comics and stuff, it's like a normal thing. Like, that's what you do. Yeah. So I don't mind the concept of it at all. I'm not sure I would be as invested in the characters, of course, as much as before, because I just don't. I've never read the comics for Turtles before. This is literally the first one, so I don't know. I don't mind them continuing it that way.
Yeah. See, I mean, that's kind of my thing. Is like, I'm sure it'd be good. I'm sure I would read it, but I like the idea of it just kind of ending there and the continuation of that being, what you think it is, without actually having it spelled out. Because I mean, you bring up a good point. It is great to see like the next generation and stuff, and get that real hard in the Star Wars universe. Yeah. At least before Disney, and I love that stuff. Like growing up, or watching the Solo kids grow up and become adults and
fucking Sith.
All the shit they did, and Sith and die, all the fun stuff that happens with families. Yeah.
Dude, the EU is so great. The direction it goes, it's so
Oh my
dark.
God.
It's
Dude,
so dark.
Anakin dying. Oh,
Anakin Solo, by the way.
yeah, Anakin Solo.
So
That
sad.
was fucked, and that was all because Uncle George is like, well, people are gonna get confused by two Anakins, so you got to kill them.
So dumb.
That's like,
But I'm here
yeah,
for it though. Like it was impactful.
yeah, very.
I mean, fuck.
Yeah, I remember when I found out about that. That destroyed me.
So I love that stuff. So I don't get. I mean, I won't follow it and stuff, but it was a great sort of nightcap to this comic. What was your favorite part of this comic?
Um, so it's kind of a toss up between the beginning and the end, like literal beginning, literal end. Just getting that level of just brutality and despair, contrasted with acceptance and the finality of life. Like I can't really determine which of the two is my favorite, so I'll just say that, I guess. But it was so beautiful, especially because, again, this is my reintroduction to the comics. I mean, it's been at least 20 years since I've read Ninja Turtles comics. So it was just so intense and like, holy fuck, you can do this with Ninja Turtles. And then the ending was so well deserved. It was just like, that was the perfect way for that to go. Just, he was at peace. He was joining his bro. Oh my God. When he joins his fucking brothers at the end, Jesus fucking Christ, man, that wrecked me too.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, wake up, man. We're gonna go fucking round. Oh, and it's like, oh
man.
my God.
Knowing that they, first of all, there was like maybe like a 3 count, maybe a 5 count, where I was like, wait a second, was this a dream? I'm gonna be pissed if this is a dream.
Yeah.
And then you get the Casey Marie end cap, and you're like, oh, it was not a dream. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that moment, I was just like, no, please don't. Oh, fuck, please don't. Please, goddamn, don't do this. And I was like, oh, okay. Whew. I mean, I'm still sad, but
it would have been bullshit. It would have been utter bullshit. So yeah, it was. It's weird to say. I'm glad he died.
yeah. I mean, my favorite part was a little bit more of an abstract instead of a moment. It was just the overall storytelling technique. It's not new, the flashback sequences and the stuff, but we were introduced in the sort of 3/4 part of the story. Then we get to slowly reveal the story on either side of before and after throughout the course of the comics. And it didn't feel like it was sort of like kitschy or they were trying to do a gimmick. It felt natural, and it was a wonderful unfolding of a complex narrative that you felt invested in, and the characters made sense, and there was logic to everything. I think the storytelling itself was just masterful. That was my favorite part. Did you have a least favorite part?
No, I thoroughly enjoyed all of it, because the thing is, like, even the shit that I'm like, there's bullshit, it's like that was what they were trying to accomplish with it. And like hating Shredder's grandson as much as I did, like that was the point. So yeah, there wasn't really anything that kind of fell flat for me.
I kind of felt sorry for him.
Yeah.
Like, he wasn't a person. He was trying to live up to a shadow, and I just...
Hey, he was a better Kylo Ren.
I didn't think about that. Huh.
Like, literally a better Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that recontextualizes the whole character now.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. I'm going to have to cogitate on that for a little bit. That's interesting. I did not get that take. All right. Well, for those of you out there who maybe not are into comics, but you may be into turtles, I would highly recommend giving this a shot. I'd never read a turtle comic before this one, and it's totally worth it. If you are into comics and you haven't read it yet, what the fuck are you doing with your life? Like, get on the goddamn game. Like, this is totally worth your time and effort. And there is no effort. It's just a nice storytelling experience.
There is effort, because you have to force yourself to put the book down.
That's true.
Like, this
I
is
intentionally took like books at a time and set it aside and just sort of thought about it for a second.
Yeah, it's a good one.
All right. Anything else on this?
No, man, I think we got it.
Well, thank you all so much for tuning in, whether live in chat or after the fact. Of course, always remember that evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there with your mutagen and just spread it all over your body. Use it as lube. I heard.
Fuck yeah.
It's
then
viscous.
roll up a piece of pizza and just
Nom, nom,
Take it to Pound Town.
nom. I always remember the evil spelled backwards is live. So get out there, nom nom, and be evil.
There you go.
I love the Turtles games.
Yeah, man. It's
They're so good. The
like
arcades
just
were
that.
great.
Yeah,
The-
that original arcade one, man. That still holds up to
Well,
this
the
day.
NES ones were great too.